Buongiorno. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to be here with you this morning. I've read this document, the Rome Youth Declaration. Thank you. This is a wonderful document. You know, I have been in the civil society for over 40 years in the not-for-government organizations. And this is our dream, that civil society become part of the table, along with government and industry, because civil society is where we're going to create the passion, the commitment, the energy to truly have a just, equitable, and sustainable world. I only have one question. I'm 62 years old. Can I sign this statement, even though I'm a senior? I guess it's yes. Thank you. I'd like to concentrate on one element of this declaration. There's so many of them that are dear to my heart, but I want to concentrate on one, the theme of sustainable development, because I think it conditions the discussion for all of the other critical challenges that you've laid out in this document. I'm mindful of the place we're in today. 50 years ago, 6 European countries came together around a new idea of pooling their energy security. And they created the coal and steel community, and later nuclear power with the Euratom. It was the first attempt in history where countries came together to try to work in peace, to build an energy policy for everybody. Here we are on the 50th anniversary. 500 million people across 27 countries, from the Irish Sea all the way to the doorsteps of Russia. In less than 50 years, look what you've done. You've created the first transnational political space in the history of the world. I'm an American, but it takes my breath away when I come over here and see what you're doing. I'm not naive about Europe. I know the pitfalls and the problems and the hypocrisies and the biases and the power struggles. But I have to say, knowing all that, this is the laboratory for the 21st century, what you're doing here. And much of it's coming out of the civil society. You're making this happen for the rest of the world. But today, as we look at the future of the European Union, one thing is clear. You have a dream. It's still embryonic, it's young, it's not well formed, but it may be the model for globalization from the bottom up, not the top down. As I traveled Europe, it's interesting that most Europeans that I meet believe in the following things. Inclusivity. No one should be totally abandoned just to the unfettered marketplace. We got to balance the social model, as you have said, with the market model. We got to make sure there's solidarity for everybody. The dream's also about social rights and human rights, not just property rights, critical to the next generation. And of course, the dream's about sustainable development. We live in one little planet. It's very small. And what you have said to Europe in this declaration is honor the biosphere. We've spent 3 centuries on geopolitics. Now we need to spend an equal amount of time on biosphere politics. The dream's also about working to live, not just living to work. We Americans work, work, work. In Europe, you understand you have to do both. You have to have a full life. And this dream's also about quality of life. As I speak to so many young people in Europe and I ask you what your dream is, you say quality of life. That's something that's a collective exercise. And finally, what's so heartening to me as an American is that you're saying to the rest of us, build peace. Don't go it alone. We live in a very interconnected world, and if you sneeze in one part of the world, someone gets a cold somewhere else within a couple of days. We're so interconnected, and what this document you've done says to us, we've got to start thinking as Homo sapiens. We got to start thinking as a species, and we have to start taking into consideration our fellow creatures and the planet we live in. And finally, it's about multicultural diversity. I know it's easy to talk it, it's hard to walk it, but here in Europe you're saying each culture has a gift to share. Don't turn it into a possession to defend. So when I look at this dream, inclusivity, multicultural diversity, sustainable development, work to live, social rights and peace, I say this is a dream that could be a global standard. It's not just for Europe. To the extent that the European Youth Forum has put this down on paper, this is a document I hope that will be remembered in 50 years from now when your children and grandchildren come of age on this continent. So thank you very much for taking the time and effort for doing this for the rest of us.